What is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? Welcome back here today to a reaction to ESPN's newest NBA mock draft by Jonathan Givony, their top draft guy. You guys have requested me to react to this mock draft. It came out on February 4th. I planned on uploading this around that time, but then Kyrie Irving got traded, so that just pushed this to Monday. But I'm super excited to react to this because Givony is one of the most respected guys in the NBA draft community. He's probably the top analyst out there. It was him and like Mike Schmidt, right? Mike Schmidt, I believe, of ESPN. I don't know why I think it could be Schmidt, but it was Schmidt. Now he's working in the Portland Trailblazers front office. He was also at ESPN. But yeah, Givony, one of the top guys, so I'm very interested to see where he has going in this mock, because when draft time comes around, I take a lot of his information into my own mock, because there might be a player that I thought was going to go in the lottery, and he doesn't have him until the early of the second round. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm too high on this guy. Like in the big board, that's fine. I like having my own opinion, even if it's like different than Givony, even though he probably knows more than me in the draft community. Well, he definitely does. But like for the mocks, you know what? We're just trying to predict where these players are going to go. So I will definitely take his information into account. If you guys enjoy these, I'd appreciate dropping a thumbs up. And we're going to be going through this. I believe it is a 2-round mock draft. So yeah, we have a lot to talk about. So with the number 1 overall pick as the standing show right now, it's the Houston Rockets. He is Victor Wembanyama going there. Wemby's going number 1 in every mock draft till the NBA draft starts, so I don't really need to talk about Wemby too much until like maybe I'm talking about my big board, but I don't really need to give a good explanation why he's going number 1. If you just watch any of his games this season over in on the Metropolitans 92, you can see why he's going number 1. He is the age, the size, the athleticism, just the alien-like skill set for somebody of his size. So yeah, Wemby on the Rockets. I actually just tweeted out some of my favorite Wemby destinations, and the Rockets were actually on the bottom of the list of the 6 teams I tweeted out, just because I think they need a new coach. It's a crowded front court at the moment because they have Şengün, Tari Eason, Jabari Smith. It would be a weird fit. I don't know how much that would also hurt Şengün's development, and I think if Şengün keeps balling out, and if you're Houston, you're like, we really won't be able to work Jabari, Şengün, and Jabari, Şengün, and Wemby. Do you possibly trade down to 2 just to add Scoot to this team? I don't know. I guess you can't really pass on Wemby, but I think, I don't know though. That would be a little bit interesting. Like, that would be kind of interesting. It would be. So I don't know. We'll talk about that closer to draft time. The number 1 team, or the team with the highest odds, the worst record, has not gotten the number 1 pick in the lottery yet, so we don't really need to go into that. 2, Scoot Henderson to the Pistons. I really hope this doesn't happen because they have Cade Cunningham. They have Jaden Ivey. This would say, yep, Killian Hayes, like, he might even get traded at the deadline. So, Scoot on the Pistons, you got to do it, but I don't love it. I guess now you're, like, Scoot's a better prospect than Ivey, so you're going with the Scoot Cade backcourt. Do you move Ivey? But Ivey's defensive troubles this year, does he have as much value as he would have after the draft last year? I don't know. I hate Scoot Henderson to Detroit. I don't want to see it. I mean, you're adding a great talent, and positions don't really matter in the NBA. You could probably have him, Cade and Ivey on the court at once. I just would rather see him in a team that could use a point guard, like Houston or San Antonio or even Orlando. So yeah, he has Scoot going to Detroit at 2. I mean, yeah, he's going to be number 2 in every mock, so that is not surprising there. San Antonio at 3, Amen Thompson. Now, if San Antonio has the 3rd pick, I think I would mock Amen too, because he's a point guard / shooting guard, and that is what San Antonio needs more than another forward like a Brandon Miller, who right now is my 3rd player on my big board, with Amen being 4, and if I had open spots at the backcourt and at the wings, I would take Brandon Miller. But for San Antonio, like, Malachi Branham's been better as of late on the offensive side, not the defensive side, but you have like Jeremy Shohan at the 4. We'll see what happens with Jakob Poeltl, but I mean, Brandon Miller's not playing the 5. You have Vassell, Keldon Johnson, like that 3, 4, 5 spot is kind of crowded. Blake Wesley as well, who they drafted in the 1st round last year, so they can go for that true point guard to be back there with Trey Jones. I like that in Amen Thompson. That's who I would have to the Spurs at 3. Not in a big board sense, but in a mock draft sense. Next up, we have the Charlotte Hornets at 4. They would be taking Brandon Miller. I could get behind this. I think that's who I would have here to Charlotte at 4, with the whole Miles Bridges kind of scenario that went down. Gordon Hayward's getting up there in age. They don't really have that small forward around LaMelo Ball for the future. Now, I think this would, I don't know. I love Brandon Miller as a prospect, but I feel like if you're not adding, I don't know. Charlotte needs Wemby in this draft 100%, because I don't know, man. I feel like he would save their franchise, and that's what we thought LaMelo would do. But then I've just seen reports that like LaMelo like is like a season away, like another bad season away from being like unhappy in Charlotte, which you don't want. But Brandon Miller to the Hornets at 4, I agree with that. Ausar Thompson to the Magic at 5. This one is a little bit shocking, but the more than I think about it, I kind of get they do need that true two that can have that athleticism and potentially shoot the ball, because you have Franz, Banchero, and Carter at the 3, 4, and 5, and then you have a plethora of guys at that 1 that's been rotating in Suggs and Cole and Fultz. I think Ausar Thompson would actually be perfect for them. Now I'm talking myself into that. So you know what? I like that. It's interesting to see Nick Smith go so high still with the injuries he's had at Arkansas, going to the Thunder at 6. I don't love that fit since he will most likely never start because they have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They have Josh Giddey. You have Trey Mann still back there, and, they're going to have another influx of guards. So Nick Smith's an interesting pick. I think maybe Jarace Walker, who's going to the Pacers at 7 in this, I would like a lot more. Cam Whitmore, I'm a big fan of his game. I think I'd rather have him in OKC, or maybe you're looking at somebody like Keontae George as well, or Grady Dick, but that might be a little bit high for Grady Dick. 7, Indiana Pacers, Jarace Walker. I'm a fan of that. They could use some more front court guys after moving Sabonis last year. You'd have Walker and Turner in the front court. Wait, that's really fun, because you'd have Halliburton, you'd have Nembhard, Mathurin, Jarace Walker, and then Miles Turner. I could get down for that in the future. Yeah, I like that. Jarace Walker, I've been very hit or miss on his game this season because he's had some inefficient nights, and I'm like, will his game translate to the next level? Well, I watched him last night against my alma mater Temple, and he destroyed them. So yeah, I could see the talent and potential that Jarace Walker has. Orlando with their second first round pick. Imagine they get another top 10 pick from Chicago in that Vooch trade. That is just highway robbery. Keontae George, hell freaking yeah. I think I would take Cam Whitmore. I like him a little bit more as a prospect at the moment, but I think just getting Keontae George and Ausar Thompson in the same draft, and you fill that need at that 2 guard spot, oh my goodness. And you have a 5 rotational guard set of Markelle Fultz, Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs, Ausar Thompson, and Keontae George. That is so much fun. That is so much fun. Oh my God, I'm going to be like the biggest Orlando Magic fan next year. We have Toronto picking at number 9. They got Cam Whitmore. Love that pick for them. He has really a lot of potential, and I love his just kind of intangibles that can really elevate to the next level in the NBA. Watching him at Nova this year, even though they haven't been as good in the first year without Jay Wright. Right? It's the first year. Yeah, first year without Jay Wright. Wizards at 10, Anthony Black. Yes, they need a point guard. And this is the draft to get somebody that you could put at point guard. Like we've already talked about Scoot Henderson. Amen Thompson could also play point guard. Nick Smith can play point guard. Ausar Thompson, it's tough to really put him at a point guard spot. But Anthony Black, I think is going to be a great defender, something you need in Washington. And you know what? I could talk myself into like an Anthony Black, Bradley Beal, Denny Avdia, Kyle Kuzma, KP/Gafford, like 6-man core. I like that. I don't know if that's ever going to be a top 4 seed in the East, because we're probably seeing Kristaps and Kuzma's like around their peak. Like Beal's probably on the end of his peak. I don't know. It's interesting. But hey, if you have Anthony Black and like Kuzma, KP, and Denny Avdia and Daniel Gafford, I like that. And then like you move Beal for pieces. Hell yeah. Pelicans getting Grady Dick. Love that fit. Grady Dick, I think, is somebody that isn't going to have the super high ceiling in this draft, but you're going to a team that you don't need him to be a top 15 guy in the NBA one day. You just need him to be an elite shooter, work off ball, and that's something that New Orleans could definitely use off the bench. I mean, like, they do have plenty of guard defenders, like, kind of in that role, and Dyson Daniels, Jose Alvarado, Herb Jones. Is he similar to a Trey Murphy role? Possibly, but I think New Orleans could definitely add this type of talent with no true center, really, here. Like, you're probably not going to take Filipowski for what New Orleans is trying to do at the moment, I think. Khalil Ware is probably a little bit too high at this board, but we'll see if there's like a riser come draft time. Lakers at 12, Cason Wallace. Okay, well, this is also the Pelicans pick. Don't know why it doesn't say via there, but okay, we have the, unless, is it a swap? Wait, is it? No. The Pelicans get the Lakers pick this year. I'm like, wait, is it a swap in my mind? No, the Pelicans have 2 first-round picks in this draft. And I mean, if they're adding Cason Wallace as well, it's just another guard. Like I said, maybe you take Filipowski if you have back-to-back first, because right now the Pelicans are in the lottery, which I don't think is going to happen at year's end. Next up, we have Portland at 13. Filipowski. I actually do like this because Yusuf Nurkic isn't the answer at the 5. I've been saying that forever. Jet Howard to the Jazz at 14. I love that. And you're getting this pick via Minnesota. Oh my God, I'm so on board with Jet. I love him as a prospect. I think he should go in the top 12, and I think he's going to kill the workouts and probably get that hype come draft time. Bryce Sensabaugh kind of bursting onto the scene this year for Ohio State, going to the Jazz as well. Love his scoring ability. The Knicks taking Ryan Rupert out of New Zealand. Now, during the collegiate season, I don't know much about these international guys. Scoot isn't, is an exception. So I don't know much about him. I don't love it. I know Maxwell Lewis has been a killer this year for Pepperdine. Maybe he can go to the Knicks. Even though he's 20, could be 21. I don't know. But like Rupert, I would have to watch some of his skill sets. But maybe the Knicks would take somebody like that. Probably going to trade down like they've done in the past couple of drafts. Maxwell Lewis with the Hawks at 17. Love that. Chris Murray to the Knicks. Hell yeah. I could be about that. But the last time they took somebody around that age in the draft in Obi Toppin, they just said, yeah, we're not developing you at all. We're not going to pertain to your certain skill sets. Good luck. They literally made Obi Toppin one of the more athletic players coming out of the 2020 draft. Just a standalone guy in the corner to shoot threes. That wasn't his game at Dayton, and now it is. So, like, they butchered his development. But yeah, Chris Murray, I'd love that as some shooting for them. Taylor Hendricks to the Warriors. Shout out to UCF. Giving some more Orlando love right there. You know, it could be a position of need. We'll see if he can end up playing the 5 at the next level. Jalen Hoods, Scafino out of Indiana. He's been balling out as of late. He can go into the top 20. Indiana just beat Purdue the other night. And hey, maybe he's that Chris Paul successor. You have your first round pick, and you hope to be good for the next couple of years as well with Booker, Aiden, and Bridges as Chris Paul goes off into the sunset. Kind of want to hit on your pick here. Dariq Whitehead, he's had his fair share of injuries. He was a preseason top 5 kind of consensus pick, and he has dropped, mightily throughout this season. Maybe Miami can get him back on track. Colby Jones out of Xavier going to Sacramento at 22. James Najee to the Clippers at 23. Going to go through these a little bit quicker. Gregory Jackson, he had a lot of hype in the start of the season out of South Carolina. He's fallen here to the Pacers at 24. But like a lot of these guys that are under the age of 19, I love going to rebuilding teams because I want to see them develop. Leonard Miller to the Nets at 25. I'm a big fan of him. Jordan Hawkins to the Rockets at 26. Lively dropping to the Grizzlies at 27. So yeah, he's going to go in the first round. So is Khalil Ware there at 30, kind of just spoiling it to the Indiana Pacers. You got Dylan Mitchell to the Hornets at 29. Terquavion Smith to the Jazz at 28. He was like a borderline lottery pick if he went to the draft last year. He stayed at NC State. Maybe that's going to come back and bite him. And I'm going to quickly go through this second round because, this is going to be interchangeable. So just some of my favorite prospects here. I like Sidney Cisco. He's going to be in the Rising Stars game. He's going here to the Orlando Magic. Oh my God. If the Orlando Magic added Cisco, who else do they have? Asor Thompson and Keontae George. Oh my God. That's a chef's kiss of a draft. Marcus Sasser out of Houston right now, going to the Pacers at 31. Hey, they took a older guy to Gonzaga last year, a point guard in the second round, in Andrew Nemhard. Let's go. Jaime Jaquez, UCLA, going to the Pistons there. Any other guys that I love? Keontae Johnson. I feel like he's been at... Wait, this is the Keontae Johnson that was at Florida, right? I think so. Kansas State. He's going there. Terrence Shannon. He's transferred from Texas Tech. Illinois going there in the second round. Imani Bates to the Lakers. You know they would probably do that. Yeah, they got to get that hype guy. Chase Jackson Davis to the Celtics at 43. They needed some big man depth. Anybody else that I kind of like later in this draft? Dembona out of UCLA going to Minnesota. You know, with Naz Reid possibly leaving, that would be a huge hit if he developed. Julian Strawther out of Gonzaga to Milwaukee. I kind of love that. And then we do have a Zach Edey sighting going to Milwaukee there at 56. And then Oscar Tshiebwe. We'll see if he gets drafted out of Kentucky. Dude's a beast college player, but we'll see if his game translates to the next level. And yeah, we only have 58 picks in this draft because the Bulls, I believe, back from the Lonzo Ball sign and trade, and the Sixers, I guess this was from a James Harden tampering. I could be wrong. I don't think it was a PJ Tucker. I think the Knicks also lost their second round pick. I guess it would be for the 2024 draft from the Jalen Brunson tampering. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this mock draft down below. Is there a player that you thought was a little bit lower than you thought or higher than you thought? I'd love to hear what you guys got to say down below. Like, college is something where I'm not watching every single game every night. I'm really just kind of focusing on maybe the top 20, 25 guys that I think are going to go in the draft and some of my favorite talents. So some of those guys in the second round or the smaller tier schools or overseas that are late risers, I'd love to get any more information that maybe you guys have or just players that you love. So yeah, I love you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.